into my dungeon.
Welcome to Cauldron's Krypt. I'm your host, Master Cauldron. If you're new to the show, I use my 23 years of BDSM experience and 20 years of working in the psych field to dispel myths, get rid of stereotypes, and answer your questions about BDSM. You can call in at 865-268-4005 to leave your questions or visit the Krypt at cauldronskrypt.com. On this episode of the Krypt, I'm going to help you keep it kinky for the holidays. So let's hit those rules to love by and jump straight into the topic. Rules to love by. Rule number 1, safe, sane, consensual, and informed. Rule number 2, kinky, that's KNKI, and comes from the Kinky app, available on all platforms. Not a sponsor, but it does stand for knowledge, no intolerance, kindness, and integrity. And rule number 3, the quote from Mr. Paul Young, submission is not about authority, and it's not about obedience. It is all about relationships of love and respect. With the holidays fast approaching, I get a lot of questions about maintaining a DS role around the nonkinky family, and a special thank you to my sub, Mayfair85, for suggesting that I do this as an episode. There are several ways that we can stay in role but not appear any way that would make Grandma uncomfortable. So here are 5 ways to keep the kink without killing the kinfolk. Number 1, decide on names. Whether you're constantly referring to your dominant around grandma as sir or daddy or master might make her a little bit uncomfortable. So come up with your own pet names or use first names, however you see fit for the relationship that you're in. But decide on those beforehand, and that way when it comes time, it's already determined that when he or she says this, it's going to actually mean this. Simple enough. But these little things is what helps us to keep us in these roles and keep the DS side of the relationship going during these times that require more of a vanilla setting. Number 2, decide on food limits prior to any gatherings. Now, we all know that around the holidays, people can tend to splurge a bit and just overdo it. So before that takes place, go ahead and predetermine what it is that you're going to do and how much you're going to do it. Whether it's food limits or alcohol limits, whatever the case is in your particular situation. If you decide on these things beforehand, then that can take a whole lot of stress off, especially if that is already part of your dynamic. A lot of people have weight control, which food control is also a part of, as part of that dynamic. So predetermining what you're going to do there for this vanilla gathering is something that can help immensely, especially in taking the stress away and not having someone look like they're being domineering in front of the vanilla friends and family. Number 3, use gestures. Simple little unnoticeable gestures can be a very, very helpful tool in keeping that DS or MS relationship alive around the vanilla family. For instance, a tap of the chin saying, may I use the restroom, or may I be excused, or I'm going to step outside with family, or whatever the case may be. Have these gestures set up, and quite frankly, you should already be using gestures if you're in a medium to high protocol relationship to begin with. So it's just toning them down and not making them so obvious. I found that a lot of the big obvious gestures that we use around our kink friends and family are ones that can at times be very overstated, and it is that way because we want to show off the submissive's training or the slave's training, and we're proud of them. They've taken the time to learn these. We've taken the time to teach these, and we want other people to acknowledge them, whether we admit it or not. That is often the case. So just toning these gestures down, and there's a lot of good books about these if you want some ideas. I have a writing about hand signals during scenes, but they can also be translated into other types of activities as well, but every couple should determine their own. Number 4, serve food and drinks. That is something that is very common here in the United States, especially in the South, people helping other people out by getting them a drink, whatever. But when it's in a vanilla setting and say my submissive would be bringing me a drink or grabbing a plate of food for me. It would just be an act of service that between us, and honestly, when it is between us, it has something more to it at times. So it would just be something there that would keep that kink going without, as I said before, killing the kinfolk. Finally, number 5. Pick clothing and a day collar in advance. And if you're in a DS relationship and there's no day collar there and you're not out to everyone, I highly recommend it. And anything can be used as a day collar, a necklace that is only worn as such. It's anything that is predetermined as such. Of course, you can go buy fancy day collars. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but you don't have to. Kink doesn't have to be expensive. That's another thing, is that a lot of people think that they see these specialty websites and they think that, oh God, I can't afford to live this kind of lifestyle. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, you can make pretty much any toy on your own. These collars you can make. I know someone who was tasked by her master to make her own day collar. She was way more craftsy than she thought she was, and she was tasked with it to do this on her own, and she made something very beautiful. But yeah, those are the 5 really simple, really quick things. Decide on names, decide on food limits prior to any gatherings, use gestures, serve food and drinks, and then pick clothing and day collar in advance. And a lot of these, if you talk about these and these are set up, it's going to help relieve a lot of stressing and anxiety, because when you're so used to being in this role on a daily basis, and then you're around vanilla friends and family, and a lot of people get nervous when they are, it makes people feel more comfortable and you're not giving up your role. But that does bring us to holiday protocol. Now, Master Arcane, who I've interviewed here on the Krypt, I believe that was episode 14, way back in the day. He wrote a wonderful book called Igniting the Fire, The Art of Romantic Submission, and he has a section in there on what is referred to as drop roll. And to get into that, I'm going to borrow from him here. It says the slave is permitted to actually drop roll and behave in a way that she wishes. The slave is specifically not to use words like master, nor engage in any overt submissive behaviors. Examples is ask permission to go to the bathroom, things of this nature, nor make any overt BDSM references while in drop roll, environment, and situation. However, the slave is expected to behave in a manner which still reflects well on the master. In example, common courtesies and politeness should still be present, and proper social graces are expected. The slave may converse freely with anyone. The slave remains in drop roll until otherwise instructed by the master, but should be ready to return to proper roll at a moment's notice. This command is especially useful, for example, when spending time with vanilla peers or parents. This can also be assigned to a specific time period, such as drop roll for the entire weekend while we were staying in your parents' house. Very good points there. Very simple instructions, and it allows, again, a stress-free holiday time where in true drop roll, as Master Arcane stated here in his book, again, that is Igniting the Fire, The Art of Romantic Submission. You can find that on Amazon. There is no form of DS. It's forbidden during these times of drop roll. So that can be very beneficial to the relationship with you and your in-laws. Another big question that I receive is on presents. 3 primary questions come in. Are vanilla presents okay? Picking the right time to exchange gifts? And are collars okay to give as presents? Now, of course, I'm going to drop down and do these one by one. So are vanilla presents okay? Well, why wouldn't they be? Of course, it depends on your dynamic and the rules of your relationship as to whether or not that would be acceptable. That most often comes into play when there are couples that play outside of their relationship. Some couples, they only buy each other vanilla presents, And with their submissives or their dominants, they're only allowed to exchange kinky presents. So it depends on the dynamic, but it is a very understandable question. The second one, picking the right time to exchange gifts. It always confuses me when I receive this as a question, when's the right time? I don't know. That's completely up to you and your relationship and your own scheduling. You certainly wouldn't want to exchange kinky gifts around a vanilla family unless you're just trying to cause a scene and cause harm and break their consent because they never consented to be a participant in your kinky gift giving, if it's kinky gifts. So really that one is up to you. And these are things that a lot of newbies don't think about because you have yet to had to be in this situation. And that's okay. Again, this is a BDSM 101 podcast. So it's just something a little extra to think about. The last one, to go back to it, are collars okay to give as presents? That's not my call to make. For me personally, I don't like to do that as giving a collar for a birthday present or a Christmas gift when it's a new collar, when it would be someone's first collar from me. Now, if it is an additional collar, because why not give your submissive or slave multiple collars to wear? There's nothing wrong with that either, in my opinion. But at that point, to give that, like to give a day collar to a collared submissive as a present, sure, why not? But again, it depends. There is so much, in my opinion, with BDSM where the answer is it depends because you're two unique people with unique experiences and you have to negotiate these things. It goes back to communication and making sure that you're maintaining these open lines of communication and negotiation. A lot of people think that this is a one and done, and this is never ending. Yeah, there's that big one in the beginning that can last for weeks or months or in some cases years, but it should never stop. So these are things when these questions come in, I'm always honored that people ask me anything that they ask me, that they've taken the time to contact me. So if you are someone who has contacted me, first, thank you very much. I do appreciate it, and it does honor me, and I hope that you have felt the same honor and respect back when I've responded, because I always do. And if I haven't, then please message me again and I will, because if I didn't, it was not intentional that I didn't. Life does get busy, especially when you've got a lot of people messaging you. But anyway, so let's just recap really quick. This is a short episode. 5 ways to keep the kink without killing the kinfolk. Decide on names. Decide on food limits prior to any gatherings. Use gestures. Serve food and drinks. Pick clothing and day collar in advance. For holiday protocols, using drop roll when necessary. Buying presents. Are vanilla gifts okay? Picking the right time to exchange gifts. And are collars okay to give as presents? I would love to know what you think about this, and I would also like to know what you think about the shorter episode as well. So hit me up on FetLife. Just do a search for Cauldron. Of course, you can always go to the show notes and get the direct link there, or email me, sir@cauldronskrypt.com. As a final note or two, I have to thank the executive producers, Jeremiah, Silas, Jess, and Arcane Dagger and Violet Aurelia. Our senior producers, Matt and Emerald Wolf. Producers, Kane Sin, That Place, which is in Oklahoma City. It's a dungeon. JK and Roxy Bear. And then our junior producers, K2SO, Buffalo Dom, Payne Waits, Leisumi, and all the way from New Zealand, hello, Haley. Welcome to the Krypt, and thank you so much for becoming a supporter. If you would like to be one of our show producers, go to the website, cauldronskrypt.com/support to get that information, or just click here in the show notes. Second, bdsmcontracts.org. Thank you for your donations of the beautiful 25-page soft and hardbound MS and DS contracts. Go to bdsmcontracts.org. Use coupon code Cauldron20. That is KULDRIN20, no space, for a 20% discount off of all purchases. And finally, whippingstripes.com, my personal maker of all things leather and paracord impact toys. I don't have a discount code for you. I don't get a discount. She's just awesome, does amazing work, and the prices You don't need a discount. They're that good. So check her out. That's at whippingstripes.com. And if you want anything custom, just send her a message. She does amazing custom work. Next time on the Krypt, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do yet. It may be a live show. In the meantime, go to cauldronskrypt.com for show notes, how to subscribe information, and the link to the Fat Life group so you can take part in the conversation and be eligible for giveaways. While you're there, click on the Support Us tab to become one of the Patreon producers. This has been Master Cauldron for cauldronskrypt.com. Unearth the truth.